Hello everyone, and welcome to my starter skills guide for Bannerlord. In this guide, we'll be focusing certain skills that will help you for new players to get into the game. And we'll start off with the Vlad Ians. The Vlad Ians are probably the best choice overall due to that 20% upgrade. The Sturgians, not too great. I mean, the penalty for snow is great, but in most areas of the map, it's just not useful. Not a great overall. The Empire has the speed reduction bonuses for towns, but that is more of a medium to late game option. Not really too useful. The SRI, the caravans is probably the most powerful item in the game, and if you can, I'd choose them. But currently in the early access, this buff doesn't seem to be working. The Kuzites have that 10% bonus for horsemen on the map, and honestly, not even worth it because their army already focuses mostly on cav, so you don't really need that bonus. But more is better, right? You'll catch more looters. As for the Betnians, the 10% less speed penalty to parties, I could see that being useful around the map, but honestly, you want more experience. I mean, it comes down to personal preference. Vladians, being able to upgrade your peasants to stronger units as soon as possible gives you a better chance in competing against higher tier bandits or enemies of all sorts. We'll skip the character creation here quickly and focus straight on the skills. The skills that we're going to be focusing on is primarily that of like getting high social skills, so trade, commerce, charm, leadership, and then we'll focus on cunning, get some tactics, and then focus on being like a horse archer overall, because aiming in general is quite easy in the game, and with a simple bow and arrow, you'll be able to do a lot of damage. Next, we will choose our next skills here for the childhood. Don't worry too much about the story, it doesn't really have an impact. What we're really focusing on here is to get good skills. Engineering doesn't really give anything early on, but when you choose your way with the people, you gain skills for both leadership and charm, and that's what you want to focus on. Skills with horses, increasing your medicine isn't really useful in the early game. Right now in the early game, I would suggest primarily in getting tactics and leadership. And I'll showcasing later on of what that actually entails. Crossbows in the early game are generally not worth it. I mean, unless you dismount your horse and just stand on the ground, you're safer being on horseback in the middle of your battles, so you can run down the enemy when they try to escape. Cunning and one-handed, it's not too bad, but not useful early game. Focus with the market and caravan perk, so you can increase your charm and trade. Once we finish this character creation skills, we'll get on the map and I'll show you exactly what that entails to, like what benefit does it really give, because in all honesty, when you look at the screen, you have honestly no idea. Choose riding with the scouts. That's a very good horse archer perk. You gain some skills in bowman and riding. And then select lead a caravan. You'll increase your leadership and tactics. Getting at least level 2 with these skills will allow you to choose one perk. Here you can dance with a couple options. You can give yourself a little bit more bow power and tactics, which is really nice. A lot of people are going to be tempted to choose scouting, but honestly, scouting is just not worth it overall in the early game. The perks are so small, it's not even worth considering. It might be worth getting this, but honestly, you don't need to. I would just choose getting level 3 tactics and increasing your bow strength, because you've already unlocked one perk for the others. Personally, I play on realistic difficulty, just get that, just get a hardcore experience. But if you rather play on low, by all means do so, because sometimes those javelins that the enemy throws can one-tap you, no matter where they hit you. But you get a pretty cool experience. Just save scum all the way. So we'll quickly make ourselves a quick family name, and then we can then focus on the skills at hand. Okay, here we go. We can start focusing on the main skills themselves with trade we're going to start focusing going down of what you actually want to play as. Do you want to play as a raider, or are you going to play more honorable? If you're going to be playing as a raider, going for the whole cellar is actually pretty nice. But the thing is, when you're raiding food granaries and stuff, you generally want to keep that food for your own army, not really sell it off. Unless you obtain like a ridiculous amount of resources. When you start doing tournaments and you start looting like higher tier bandits or any bandits of the sort or other armies, you're going to gain a lot of loot, a lot of equipment, swords, axes, bows, crossbows, clothing. Sell that at a 5% markup and you will gain much more gold than just selling, like, for example, simple goods. As for later on in the trade, you will obtain the Caravan Master. That's going to be huge, paying 20% less wage for your caravans, and getting 30% more weight added to your main party. Very powerful. The leadership, you can either give your whole party a small XP bonus or give your level 1, 2, and 3 troops a medium XP bonus. Getting your peasants up to a higher tier, at least tier 3 troops, will ensure that they have shields, more experience, and they'll be better equipped to take on more difficult missions and tasks ahead. You need to get rid of the peasants as soon as possible because they are really unreliable. Not to mention their morale and stuff. So raise the meek and continue on down that path. And as later on, you'll gain more morale and bonuses. But for leadership, primarily the goal was to get raise the meek. As for charm, you can either gain +2 relationship with lords and members, but it only has a 10% chance. I wouldn't really bother with it. Sure, you'll be able to recruit better troops by a 1 out of 10 chance, but why not just give yourself more money? 15% reduced barter penalty. You just make more money in the end. As for tactics, this one's quite interesting. You gain the ability to do morale damage with your light cav units. No matter what faction or kingdom you play, eventually you'll focus on getting some light cav units into your army, unless you want to focus on being an archer army. Being able to do 10% more morale damage, you'll have the ability to rout the enemy very quickly, very early on. On the second skill, you get tactical superiority, which is great. You get 5% more damage with your troops overall, which is very powerful. Think of your whole army doing 5% more damage with your foot troops. You want your front line to hold, and that is the best way to do it. But if you've played Total War games or Mount Blade in the past, being able to place your troops before a battle is huge. You can be prepared for the enemy. You're going up against horse archers, so you can set up a square formation and have your archers in it with no stress of how quickly will they get to my lines. So be sure getting level 3 tactics is completely worth it. Putting points into writing, the only thing you would really get is a little bit more health points. And it doesn't really matter too much. With your bow, you increase your accuracy by 10%. And then when you continue to use this in battle, even on horseback, you increase your raiding speed by 10%, so you'll shoot faster. Once you start making like really good gold, you'll be able to do even more damage, more accuracy. You get the same perks as a crossbow, but you're using a bow. It'll be great for riding on horseback, defending in a siege, attacking in a siege, in a variety of different situations. So, hands down, it's great. Crossbows, they could be nice, but it just isn't worth it. Bows are just simply better overall. It takes more practice with aiming, but with how many tournaments you'll be playing, battles you'll be participating, you'll master it pretty quickly. As for pole arms, spears are pretty cool. Once you get some good heavy armor on your main character, I would suggest using pole arms. It's a great safe way to do attacks, especially in the hideouts, because getting swarmed by bandits is death. As for steward, medicine, these skills you'll get later on. Steward, you'll get it automatically for just investing it into your town when you're super rich. Engineering is something you'll gain later on once you start sieging. Medicine, you'll gain medicine once you actually just encamp inside towns and villages. I will show you guys quickly an example of how powerful these starter skills can be, because you actually accumulate skills very slowly in the game, and I'll show you how you get these skills and what benefit they provide in the late game. Look at that number. We'll ignore the taxes because the only way I was able to gain so much prestige and renown and valor was just because I was just ridiculously rich. Almost 700,000, and that's primarily due to caravans. I never had any companions in my army. And as you see by the skills, none of them are really good at trading because they don't really talk about that. You can hire any random companion, send them off on a caravan for 15,000. Each companion's about 1,000, and in about a week's time, they'll start returning you gold from about 300 to 1,000 gold. And the difficult part is like paying their wages through that 1 week. Like, hopefully, the best way to do it will be earning gold is a variety of methods, and I'll talk that in a different video overall. But in this video, the main focus is what skills I used and how it progressed my campaign and getting to the point where I'm at, so you guys can have a similar like campaign of you guys being rich and being able to do whatever you want. As the early access continues, more than likely things will change, but these things should hold very firm. The Aserai, I think, will have a pretty nice early game advantage once their culture buff actually takes into effect. Once they have that 30% discount on caravans, because right now caravans are 15,000 gold, and it doesn't matter what faction you are, it's still expensive no matter what. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you have any comments or questions, put it down below and I'll answer them as soon as possible. And I'll be making a tips guide on the start of the campaign to help you guys get your starting track in the game. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you next time.